Friends of Oceano Dunes information video. Source or path. Recorded April 2018. We received an email from Stacia Tiller. It's a letter that she was submitting to the Air Pollution Control District hearing. In her email, she provided a great deal of information and these great wind maps. And the information we thought was so good that we wanted to put this information video together to share with all of you. Here's the wind map that I was telling you about. This wind map is an excellent representation of the wind flows around the land features, across the water, going across the SVRA, inland to the Nipomo Mesa. We'll overlay the Oceano Dunes so you can see its rough location. And please note the reddish area in the water in front of the SVRA. This is a high velocity wind area. A recent study was released by the Scripps Institution of Oceanography. Dr. Palin concludes with the study by saying, nearby coastal seawater is contributing biological material to PM10 aerosols, 10 microns or less, detected and captured inland at monitoring sites. See folks, these are the exact same monitoring sites that the Air Pollution Control District is using to do all their dust studies. So here you have marine biological material in the ocean in front of the SVRA that's traveling across the SVRA inland to these dust monitors. After the Scripps report was released, Friends of Oceano Dunes submitted a letter to the Air Pollution Control District demanding answers. In a recent newspaper article, the Air Pollution Control Officer, Gary Willey, was asked for his view of the Scripps report. Mr. Willey stated, "It doesn't make sense to me." He said if the algae bloom were responsible for the particulate matter pollution, the bloom would be affecting the entire coast area. He further said, we have monitors to the north and south that don't show significant contributions. Friends of Oceano Dunes believe that Mr. Willey's response is ignoring the Air Pollution Control District's data, as we'll present in the next slide. In this wind map, we've added dots towards the top for Morro Bay and Atascadero. Both these will be referenced in the video we're about to play. In the video, Larry Allen, at the March 24, 2010 Air Pollution Control District meeting, will state that the monitors at Morro Bay and Atascadero have exceedances of particulate matter, but not to the level that is witnessed at the Mesa 2 site. Friends of Oceano Dunes believes that the main difference between the Morro Bay, Atascadero, and the Mesa 2 site is the high velocity wind area in front of the Oceano Dunes that takes particulate matter from the ocean across the Oceano Dunes into the Mesa 2 site. Both Morro Bay and Atascadero do not have this high velocity wind area in front of it.
Morro Bay and the other one up in Atascadero, where we do see violations of the PM standards there as well, but on a much lower frequency than we do at our Mesa 2 site.
In this slide, we've added a picture of the Diablo nuclear power plant to the top left. Right below it is a blue dot for its location relative to this area of interest. The Diablo nuclear power plant discharges 2.7 billion gallons per day in this general vicinity, which is right in front of the Oceano Dunes SVRA. The Diablo nuclear power plant pulls in the ocean water and uses it for what's called once-through cooling, OTC. The once-through cooling of the ocean water cools the nuclear reactor. They then pump this warm water back out into the ocean. This warm water is about 50% warmer than the surrounding ocean. So the warmer water will rise to the surface of the ocean. This creates a thermal plume that is roughly 1,000 acres in size. The Diablo nuclear power plant thermal plume has been modeled and studied by numerous organizations. This thermal plume is about 1,000 to 1,200 acres in size, right in front of the Oceano Dunes in the high velocity wind area. The Diablo nuclear power plant is also known for its desalination plant. The desalination plant located at the Diablo nuclear power plant is the largest on the West Coast. It can produce 450 gallons per minute. For those not familiar with desalination, this is where you take in the ocean's water, you strip out all the impurities, the salt, the plankton, the fish, the larvae, everything out of it to produce clean, drinkable water. All the waste that you've just pulled out is then sent back to the ocean. Back to the ocean as part of the thermal plume. In a recent issue of Pacific Institute, they had a section on key issues in seawater desalination in California and the impacts on the marine life. This report states, entrainment occurs when organisms small enough to pass through the intake screens, such as plankton, fish, eggs, and larvae, are killed during the processing of the salt water. It further states that the impacts of impingement and entrainment are not well understood. It states that Diablo Canyon entrains 1.8 billion fish and fish larvae and impinges about 400 fish and one large marine animal. So Diablo Nuclear Power Plant is pulling in all this organisms and plankton, processing it through their system to make clean desalinated water, then dumping this brine material with the once through cooling material back into the ocean, creating this thermal plume where it rises to the surface of the water in the high velocity wind area right in front of the SVRA. In the Air Pollution Control District's Phase 2 study, they provided this figure which shows the wind direction going across the SVRA towards the monitoring sites at CDF and Mesa 2. The APCD identified the same wind patterns, but did not look into the contributions from the ocean. You see, the ocean could be the primary source of the particulates, and the ODSVRA, the path. As demonstrated throughout this presentation, Friends Oceano Dunes believes the Air Pollution Control District needs to study two additional sources. One, the Diablo Nuclear Power Plant and its 2.7 billion gallons of water, full of nutrients from the desalination plant being dumped right in front of the high velocity wind area that's right in front of the Oceano Dunes. And the second is the Scripps Institute, which identified the marine biological material, the natural bloom and plankton that's out in the ocean that's blowing inland. Further think and request that CARB model the marine biological material in the ocean, both from Diablo and the natural biological material. The modeling needs to correctly show the influence of the marine biological material going across the Oceano Dunes into the monitors. Ignoring it is ignoring the available science that we have today. We need to identify and inventory all sources of particulate matter and develop methods for mitigating the dust impact and not solely focus on the Oceano Dunes. Until this is done, state parks should stand down and not take any more acreage for any dust mitigations until we fully understand all the sources that are contributing to the dust.